This is LaserBolt and welcome to today's video. Today, guys, I want to showcase my Melee Devastator build that's going to have you guys smacking and punching everything that comes your way. It kind of reminds me of Punch-Out back in the Nintendo days, man. I'm telling you, Mike Tyson's not going to want to have none of this, boys, 100%. So we're going to be meleeing everything. We're going to be equipping a very awesome skill with this as well that's going to allow us to inflict a lot of power. So we're going to be focusing on three major things with this particular build. Number one, of course, is melee. Number two is we're going to use one of our skills to allow us to double that melee damage. And number three, we're going to be using the bleed effect to give us even more damage with our build. So if all of this sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be greatly appreciated. Now let's take a look at the Devastator melee build. All right, so let's take a look at the skills we're going to be using primarily, guys. We're going to be using Earthquake, which is going to be one of our big focal points, as this is going to allow us to apply bleed. We're also going to be using Golem. What Golem is going to be able to do is going to allow us to get the protection, but most importantly, get a buff to our damage and increase our melee damage. And number two, we're using Gravity Leap for two primary reasons. Number one, because it does a lot of damage when you land. And number two, it's a really good one to have in case you get in a really sticky situation and you get your health back, or to traverse the area. Sometimes, you know, the pesky riflemen just run away and then you gotta hunt them down. So this is what primarily this is going to be used for. Now that you understand the skills we're going to be using, let's take a look at the class skill tree, and you're definitely going to want to check it out, but you're going to want to make sure you guys pay attention to what we're using and why it's extremely important for this build and how it ties in together. So number one, guys, we're using an anomaly boost. As you guys know, this is going to be primarily focusing on anomaly. We're going to use anomaly to do a couple things. Number one is to give us a little bit more damage. And number two, to boost some of the mods we have available in our weapons and also in our armor. Then we're picking this one up, which is a cooldown reduction to our Earthquake mod. We're also getting another anomaly boost. We're picking this one up, which is really important, which is why I mentioned when you use your protection skill, it's going to increase your anomaly power. So basically, once you go Golem and you start mailing the heck out of people, that's pretty much going to give you a boost on your skill. And of course, since melee is considered a skill, that's going to boost your melee up 45%. In addition to that, guys, we're also picking up another nod that's going to give us reduce the cooldown for the Golem effect, so we can use it very often. And then we're also going to be picking up Strong Arm of the Anomaly after your class melee skill. Increase resistant piercing by 15% each hit enemy for 10 seconds. So it's going to make you a little bit more tanky, allowing you to absorb a little bit more damage and mitigate that damage. Next up, guys, we're going to be picking up Pure Anomaly, which is going to increase your resistance piercing by 15%. Once again, helping us there stay tanky. Another Anomaly nod right here. We're going to be picking up Red River, which is going to increase the bleed duration by 30%. Really important because you want to make sure that that bleed effect stays on the person or on the enemy as much as possible. We're also going to be picking up another Anomaly nod, and we're picking this one in the bottom, which is called Strong Arm of the Law. It's going to double the class melee skill. Really important because let's say your melee does 50, this is going to make it 100. And then when you pair with this one, you add another 45%, and you guys get the drift, right? Then we're going to go and put Executioner, increase your damage by 20% against enemies below 30 health. Really important because once the enemy is under 30% health, that damage is going to get increased. So your melee is going to go up with all that big boost. Another anomaly, and then we're picking up Bloodbath. Bleed afflicted on enemies deal 30% more damage. Since theoretically everybody's going to have bleed affected with them, they're going to be bloody. Then we're going to be picking up a blood donation. You are healed for 20% of your bleed damage. Once again, we're applying bleed not only with our Earthquake, we're applying bleed with our pretty much our melee, because as you guys know, melee applies bleed on enemies. And we're applying bleed with almost everything. That is going to go and get our health back. Then we're going to go ahead and pick up increase your skill life. Once again, every time we do our skill, we're going to get a little bit of health back. Protected by the Anomaly, increase your armor bonus by 40% of your Anomaly power. Once again, since we are stacking a lot of Anomaly, it is going to increase our buffness and allow us to tank a lot of the elites. Then we're going to be picking up Skilled Sentry. Increase your armor by 20% and your resistance by 20% for 10 seconds when your skill ends. So since we're using Earthquake and we're using Gravity Leap and we're using our melee, every time we use any of these, it's going to increase our armor by 20%, which is really dope. Every time you're mailing, you're getting that increment. You're also going to get that bleed effect. A bleed effect on enemies deals 30% more damage. And then we got Earth's Heritage, increased seismic skill, base damage by 50%. Primarily the thing we're using here, of course, is our Earthquake, which we're trying to get as much damage as we possibly can for that, because theoretically an Earthquake could be considered a melee, and so could, anything that has to do with punching the ground, right? So that is what we have in skills. Now let's take a look at our inventory and talk about what we're using to actually make this build viable. So we're going to be focusing on two major things. Number one is the weapon column. The weapon column, we're primarily using it because we want to make sure we're able to clear like the pesky little ads very fast and very quickly. But I do have only legendaries, but I'm going to tell you guys what you could use if you don't have legendary weapons, what mods you want to get. And then for our gear, yes, we are rocking legendaries, but you could theoretically rock purples. You could rock blues. As long as you have the right skills activated, you guys should be good to go. And I'll break down what those skills are. So let's start off with the weapons. So for the weapons, guys, we're using the anime. This one's really important because of two major things. Number one, it's super important because this is going to give you the kind of the main mod that we're using here, which is Moaning Winds, which if you guys have watched my streams and watched any of my content, I started using this like about a week ago. So, it is amazing. It's one of the best mods out there. Really important. Basically, what this does is after you reload, it does a damage effect. So I'll show you guys exactly what it does. So I reload right there. You see that big blast that it did right there? So that big blast is going to be doing a total of 387 damage. And then we're also picking up Fortress, which I'll explain why. This is extremely important. These two mods are dropping from legendaries. They drop from this one, the Anomaly, and they drop from this one called the Death Shield. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys won't have this if you guys are rocking purples and blues, and I'll explain what you guys want to use in case you don't have that enabled. And for our pistol, we're using the Moaning Winds. That's the only main thing. So for the weapon, the main thing you want to have is Moaning Wind and Fortress. Those are the main two concepts that you want to go with here. Now, if you don't have these, towards the end of the video, I'll explain what you want to substitute those for after we get done with the gear. Now, for the gear, guys, you're looking for two major things. You're going to be looking for the most important thing. This is if you have blues, purples, anomaly power, status power, and skill life leech. Those are the main attributes you want to pick up for that gear. And now we're going to go over the skills. So for the skills, I have power assimilation. This is a level 3 mod. You do not need this one. I'll explain what you can use in here. Basically, if you don't have level 2 mods, you want to put as many earthquake mods as you possibly can on your armor till you get the legendaries. One tip I want to give you guys, if you're not able to clear CT15s on gold, but you could clear CT12s on gold, clear them until you complete them on gold and until you get the legendaries, and then move on, because the legendaries do help a little bit when you're trying to get into that endgame. But one of the most important abilities here is you want to make sure you have Bloodshock. Earthquake inflicts bleed on enemies damaged by their skill. This is extremely important. It's kind of like the bread and butter of this build because you want to be applying bleed to make sure your melee does more damage than it would normally would. So if I would have to pick one of the that's more important than anything, of course, is Bloodshock. Definitely 100%. Now for our upper armor, as you guys see right here, we're going with the same thing. Anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction I have here. This one has skill life leech, but either anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction, or anomaly power, status power, skill leech would work. One is more focused on you getting your health back. This is a little bit more focused on you being able to get your skills a lot quicker. So this one right here, guys, we have Anomaly Echo. Once again, this is a level 3 mod. You theoretically don't need this one, and I'll explain what you can substitute with this. But what you do need is you need the Earth's Legacy, which increases the skill range by 60%. This is extremely important. This allows you to hit people all the way from downtown, brother. It is crazy, crazy good. Primarily, you guys are like, nah, man, I don't think I need that 60% range. Yes, you do, guys. Trust me, 100% you do. So Bleed and Earth Legacy are definitely a requirement. So if you have a blue, purple, make sure you guys get it with that. Next up, guys, we have another level 3 mod, which is called Tainted Blood, which is going to increase your dealt to enemies afflicted with bleed. This is just to give us more bleed damage. It's going to be on top of the armor set that gives us a total of 50% more damage when you have all 3 armors. But that being said, the most important one is the extra quake. You want to make sure you have at least 2 quakes here enabled. That's a level 1 mod, so it's extremely important that you have that enabled in your suit. The level 3 mod, you could, like I said, farm it until you actually get it. Then, guys, we have Ground Crush, which is going to increase the skill-based damage by 84,000. So this is another level 1 mod. You should have it, whether it's blue, purple, doesn't matter. You should have this one. And this one's not so much a requirement, but I recommend it. Next one, guys, which is a requirement, but you could wait till you actually get to, level 2, which is second quake. That's going to give you an additional earthquake, which gives you a total of 3, which is extremely important. Then we have emergency stance. This was not extremely important. You could theoretically put something else here. Maybe you could put the one that gives you 25% more damage to elites. And that would output a little bit more damage, but that, once again, it's a level 3 mod. For those of you who have level 2, this is probably what you want to go with. Phantom Dash, those are actually really good. Now let's talk about what happens if you guys don't have these skills. What can you possibly use for the weapons, and what can you possibly use for the armor? All right, so for the armor, guys, we're going to be recommending heal per kill. This is a level 1 mod. This is going to make you a little bit more tanky if you don't have the, any other skill that you can put on your blues or your purples. I also want to recommend arm boost, which is going to grant you more armor for each inflicted enemy. Basically, you just want to stack all of these until you completely get all of them. If you don't have those level 2 mods, because Earthquake is going to be your main primary source for armor and also primary source for applying bleed, allowing your melee to do even more damage. That is what I would recommend as far as the armor set is concerned. If you want to go into tier 2 mods, which I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys have, there are some really good ones. For example, this Untamed Power. This is really important and really good, which is going to deal damage with enemies in 5-meter radius. And that's equal to your anomaly power. Basically, you're looking for anything that gives you a boost to your anomaly or helps you kill bosses a lot quicker, or gives you increments to not weapons, but also increments to your melee and stuff like that. So there are some other really good mods you could probably use in here, guys. Like, for example, there's this one right here, which is Brawler, which is going to boost your melee damage. This is really important. I took it off. I was testing it out. It does help a little bit, but I felt like having that extra Earthquake was more important and more viable. But if you don't have that extra Earthquake, you put this one, and it's going to make your melee damage skill go up at least 100%. And then I think it's this one right here, Martial Arts, which is another level 2 mod that I want to recommend. It's going to reduce the cooldown of your melee skill. Basically, it's going to reduce it to like half a second, making you melee really, really fast. So those are the ones that would apply in case I don't have those level 3 mods for your armor. Now let's talk about what you want to do for the weapons. Now for the weapons, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to put a different set of mods. So I'm going to go through tier 1 mods, and then I'm also going to go to tier 2s. Not going to go into 3s because the ones I showed you are the mains you want. So vulnerability, extremely important. If you're going to be shooting your bullet, if you're going to be shooting your weapon, you might as well be, applying vulnerable to the enemy. Extremely important. Then we have the ultimate bleed bullets. This is really important because if you're shooting someone, you want to apply bleed, and the more bleed you have, the more your melee is going to be more powerful. This one's another really good one, Claymore. Another one that I would recommend. Those are primarily the ones I would recommend in tier 1. Now for the level 2 mods, guys, same thing. We're going to recommend vulnerable bullets, bleeding bullets, and we're going to be recommending death chains. Really important to have for this particular build. If you don't have that, you want to make sure you're getting anything that gives you a boost to your anomaly or does some sort of anomaly blast when you're shooting it, because that's going to allow you to do a lot more damage when you guys are getting that done. And basically, you just want to be applying bleed with your guns if you don't have the 2 ones that I recommend. But over in general, guys, that is the Devastator melee build. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more gameplay so you guys can check out the build. If you guys want to see the complete run through of this, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to upload it so you guys can check how awesome it is. I do hope you guys are enjoying our Outriders coverage. If you are, guys, do me a huge favor, guys. Drop a comment, drop a like, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you guys won't miss when we go live or when we upload a video. Enjoy the other 2 videos that are showing up on the screen, and I'll talk to you guys later.